So today we're going to focus on adjustment layers. If you have if you have seen the Teams channel, this channel only, then you might have seen that I've added some of the files like sample day two करके. And how I was going to open the file which I told in, and whatever you want. Let's say I have this folder day two. And for now, we are going to work with adjustment layers. So adjustment layers, right? So first of all, let's just discuss about what is adjustment layer. If you have attended the first session, then I was talking about that how Photoshop is helpful in creating like non-destructive editing and all. So adjustment layers are really helpful in that, because just for instance, if I draw something on this photo image, let's say I change the photo image and have some adjustment here and increase its brightness and something like that, then the whatever I've applied is has been applied on this background only, and I can't actually, like, if let's suppose that after some days I want to have the raw image which I clicked, have it back in that particular format which I had in the initial process, like initial part, then I can't get it back. But if I'm going to use adjustment layers, I can actually I'm working on smart objects, and smart objects are actually, as the name suggests, it's something like you can actually change the details and anything which you have applied at any point of time. So that's pretty chill. And about adjustment layers, I've told that this thing, if you can see in the right bottom corner, you can see a thing, something like cookie or moon, which is like black, half black and half white. And you can see, if I click on it, this is called adjustment layer. If I hover around my cursor, you can see these are adjustment layers. Okay, right click, click on it, and you can see a bunch of like adjustment layers which we can see here: solid color, gradient, pattern, brightness, contrast, and all. So if you can see, like, these three colors are like filling colors, like filling thing, which fills on the layer as a layer. And these are like composer. If you can see, like, just understand the difference, like brightness, contrast, they deal with brightness or contrast and all. And these like the effects which you can see, like sepia, black and white and all. And these are some like god level things which we'll discuss in the later stage of the session. So first of all, what's the process to open adjustment layers? You can either have it open from here, or the better way is go to image, and you can see here there's adjustment, and you can see a bunch of things. So I prefer to go it from here. Go to image, have adjustment, and first of all, let's see like what does brightness and contrast do. You can see, like, generally brightness or contrast, we can actually work on that along with mm, anywhere, levels and curves and all. What's happening there? So, okay, so I can actually have my adjustment layer from here and have brightness contrast here too, which is the better one. And you can see that a new layer has been created as a name with brightness and contrast. And as I was talking about layer mask, this white thing, the white canvas, something like that, you can see this is a layer mask which can help us to change the values and all. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so this is all about. If you click on it, like, this is, we have selected layer mask for now. If you go to uh, this select on the brightness part, which is a symbol of brightness and contrast, you can see that if I have an option called auto. If you click on it and see the difference, if you can observe the difference, and let's see the difference. It's here only. If I disable this layer by using this I button, you can understand like what difference have you got. It's like it can be used for general type of adjustment and all, so you can see the difference. And let's suppose I want to change the layer. If this was not an adjustment layer, I couldn't actually change the value. Instead, I had to undo and redo thing again from the scratch. So the advantage of adjustment layer is that if I double tap on it, and I want to, this is was the auto setting. If I want to increase the brightness, so what does brightness do is like it highlights, or like negative highlights in the negative or positive side, the like our highlighting part, like the white parts, they deal with light parts, and the contrast deals with the darker parts. So if you can see, like if I increase my brightness, okay, you can understand the difference. This is like the concept itself of brightness and contrast. You can see the difference. But the better version is, if you want to actually have brightness contrast, just go with auto. Try to bother ourselves with that, right? And now, apart from that, we have some all other things. We have levels. So as I was saying that instead of brightness contrast, we can have level, curves, and exposure to deal with editing and all. So go to levels. If you can go to levels, you can see a bunch of these histograms and all. The left part deals with, if you can see this part, this is black. So just remember in some way that these deals with black. If I use this slider and go to right, you can see my dark part becomes more black. Yeah, black becomes more black. If I feel it here, you can see this has gone black. This has become complete black. And these are, if you can see the difference, this is white. If you increase the like distance, okay. So you can see like this is making my white more white, right? And these are called midtones. And what does midtones, as the name suggests, like the middle of black and like white. So just you can see the difference here only. And again, you can either have auto. If you have auto, you can see our adjustment has been applied. Apart from that, you can see like we have a bunch of setting, custom, default, darker, and all. You can see these are presets which help us to like quick fix and all. Like you let's suppose there is a friend of yours who want to have his or her image edited. Just go with this presets. If you can see like darker, these are the presets, and go with increase contrast one and all. You can see the difference here only. This is too much light and shadows. These are some unsaturated sort of thing, and midtones brighter. Yeah, darker is the black side, the leftmost slider, and like which deals with contrast with the right one, and the left side is shadows, because black is shadow. No? So this was all about levels. Apart from that, we can also have curves. As I was saying, because I prefer curves because it looks great, to be honest, and go to curves. You can see this can be a pretty overwhelming for anyone, for a newbie. You can see that these deals with the same concept as levels. These are black, so they deal with black part. This deals with white part, right? And this you can see that there's no midtone. And how to get that? Just click on the center. These are the graphs sort of thing. Just click on the center and put it here. I have my midtone here. And how to drag it? Click your left, like have your left click hold and put it anywhere, wherever you want. And if you can see, there's a minute difference, which you can't actually go through like at this moment. You can observe. But if I increase this slider, the black one, if I put it above, or better, we can disable our lower level layers so that we can understand the difference much better. You can see if I have my black thing above, if you can see, this is going from black to like x and y axis in terms of graph. If you go it above, you can see our black is becoming white, right? And same goes for here. When you move it on the x-axis in terms of horizontal line, then you can see our black is becoming more black, right? And if I go on the above vertical line, my black is becoming white. Similarly, for the whites, you can see if I go below, my white is becoming more like white in the vertical line, and in the left side, my white is becoming more dark, going towards left. Like you can see the gap between the level upper darker and lighter levels is becoming broadening up, right? So you can understand in that sense. So for now, the best thing is we can see a bit. Let's make the exposure a bit different and see minute detail, and this is better. Apart from that, you can see that there's RGB, red, green, blue. So you can understand from the name itself. If I go to the red channel, these are called channels. You can see red. If I have my like the darker red parts, just observe the difference, right? You can see These deals with the red colors. So for instance, here we have this pant and the color tone of the skin and all those flowers and all. These are in the arena of red colors. So here you can see the difference, right? This is going too much, so just go with green. For green, if I increase my darker part, you can see the difference between the grass, which is on the left and right side of the road, right? But you can see if I'm increasing the thing, all the green, because RGB constitutes every color, like primary color in some sense in terms of Photoshop. So these are effective, all my colors. So the advantage of adjustment layers is that if I go to my layer mask, select on layer mask, how to select that? Little tap on it. For now, it's selected, and have Control I. And what does Control I do is fill it, because as I was saying, in Photoshop, in layer mask especially, the black thing like is concealed and the white part is revealed. White is for reveal and black is for conceal, right? White and black. So Control I. What the Control I did was, you can see the difference. Black, my layer mask is complete black, so you can't see the difference. But if I use Control I again, and Control I or Command I is for inverting the color. Control I, right? For now, I don't have any effect, and I want to have that green effect which I created just on the grass. So how I'm going to do is tab B. B is a shortcut for brush. Just tab B, or instead just go to toolbar if you want to have it. But why, if we have shortcuts, just go to B, and I want to increase the size. Either you can right click, or better to go here, and you can see I can increase size, or go for soft brush, and the size around 59 or 60, whatever suits your image. It's too short, right? You can see. Or as I was saying in the previous session, you can either use curly brackets. If I use the right one, the size has increased, and here have it color white, because white reveals, right? So here, and increase the opacity, like decrease opacity actually a bit, because that will be too much to understand. You can see I am coloring it with my brush, and the thing is, can we see the difference? And if I disable this, you can see the difference. Yep. So similarly, you can actually work with different channels. Sorry, this is a new channel. Go for adjustment layer. Have a, like what we were dealing with, curves. Go to curves and channel. This is for channel. This for the preset. Go to blue. Increase the dark part, or whichever feels you like. Increase it here, and Control I, because I want to have that effect only on this part, right? Because sky is blue, so why to deal with like green color in terms of blue? So same, I have selected my white color here. You can toggle the, if you can observe that if I press X, my color is toggling, and these are default colors, right? For now, I want to have my white and color it up, and color, and just a bit, right? And also, if you want to color the shirt, because that has some tint of green or blue, let me correct myself, and you can see the difference. And to understand the difference or observe the difference, actually disable it, enable it. You can see, right? Similarly, we can have red, because sorry, it's layer thing. Go to adjustment, have a curve for red. Now we are going to have a red channel. This is all about like playing with the software, because playing in terms of not doing anything silly, but this is all about experimentation. Like Photoshop is all about hit and try. Just a bit of dealing with new tools. And Control I again. If you want to have any sort of what? Someone, I guess, net on. Sorry, Mike. So yeah, so we have our white as a foreground color. Color it up to have red as my highlighting color, right? Color the pants with, we are not going too much details or for precision because that will be too long. और ऐसे ही सब बोर हो सो जाओगे, ठीक है? So I have colored all my color bit, yeah. And also more apart from that, I have also my trees colored up. You don't need to be precise because the image is so, right? And these are all my curves, so I can actually group them. Hold shift, I want to group all these curve 1 2 3 layers, shift, and like select curve 1. If you select it, you can see all the layers which are between these curve 3 and curve 1, that is curve 2 only here, is like selected. Right click, or actually control G. Control G is for grouping, right? And double tap and name it curves. Okay. And the difference can be seen now. Disable it, enable it, right? A subtle sort of effect, but it's it's noticeable, right? And now the other thing which is remaining in terms of exposure, dealing with exposure and brightness and contrast and all, go to exposure. And the issue is exposure. Let me show you. If I increase my exposure, you can see sometimes you may hear that exposure is too much. The reason is exposure is like highlighting the lighter parts. Increase my like exposure, you can see the white parts is becoming too intensifying too much, right? So in terms of, so what I can do is actually you can see these eyedropper things. Select anyone, preferably the first one. Go to the first one and increase the it a bit, right? You can see this is too much. So what will I do is actually decrease the opacity. And now what was the reason for that is actually you can notice the difference. Yeah, the dark part has become darker. If you have any sort of doubt, you can either unmute yourself. उतना तो है सबको, ठीक है? Also अब now vibrance. अगर बोरिंग हो तो बता देना, ठीक है? मतलब okay, so vibrance का issue है कि is actually if I increase my vibrance, you can see a subtle sort of difference. And saturation, as the name suggested, you can see like unsaturated and oversaturated. Decrease my saturation, the colors are fading away to black and white. And if I increase my saturation, the currents are too popping up, right? So just have it a bit saturated, increase the vibrance here, and see the like details which you created. Is hide it, enable it. Yeah. So for understanding, zoom in a bit, and yeah, right. So that's all about vibrance. And now we want to have our hue saturation. And hue saturation, this is like overwhelming, as I was saying, because if you increase the hue, you can see everything is going too much, right? So the advantage of this thing, this particular tool or adjustment layer is actually that you can, sometimes you think of changing your color of something, preferably your clothing. So what you can do is actually change the color of your this girl's pant here. So how you can do is actually control I. As I was saying, select your layer mask and control I. What did it do is it has filled the layer with black, right? And I want to have this band with a different color, which I selected with hue saturation. So now have your brush selected using B, decrease it a bit because here we will need precision. The reason being that this band and the color of the skin tone is like too close, right? So the reason is as simple as that. And color it up, color it, and don't think about the road because that's different texture, so that doesn't matter. Just color it up, color. Just go with that, anything, and simple. color it up. And here we'll need some precision. Let's suppose I colored by mistake. So what will I do is use X, and here I have black. You can see I've toggled my foreground background color. Here I have black and color to hide it with black paint. Now again X, color the shirt, the remaining part of the pant, and simple, right?
How you chose the pant area only? Like, the color is not spreading to the roads and all, no? So how you
Uh-huh.
chose that?
So the reason is, let's suppose have it control 0 for fitting. Okay. So when you select hue saturation, I want, if I select my color, you can see a similar tone of colors like the red. If I go towards red, everything which is red, which has a bit of red, will get like the AI of the Photoshop or any editing software for the matter of fact, selects the color tone, like color range, which is similar to each other. So if you can see, the road is completely black and white, like texture or theme, if I may say. So you can see the difference. Even this is completely different from the texture of skin, right? This is good.
Okay.
Psycho. Because I'm not going in too much detail because फिर वो design का ना मतलब design सारे बच्चों से पूछो बहुत ज़्यादा बेकार होता है. Okay, so enable my hue saturation and you can see the difference. And let's suppose you wanted to have it a different color. That here you can see the advantage of like adjustment layer. Double tap on this, the symbol of hue saturation, and I have selected my layer mask, the selection, using the brush tool, and change the color whichever you want. Actually, I like this one. This one, no, matching. This matches a bit, right? And I want to desaturate it. You can actually desaturate it. Like you feel that this is too much, just decrease a bit. If I decrease it completely, then that will fade it away. And increase it, the saturation comes up, and whatever lightness, you can see the difference. Since it was not a like precise selection, you can see if I increase this brightness, lightness actually, you can see the border. So just have it 0. Is why to have color, right? This was all about saturation, right? This is the advantage of hue and saturation. So you can feel the difference. And now the remaining bit. Vibrance, hue, saturation, color balance, as simple. You can see actually the advantage of color balance is I was saying about dark, like black, white, and the gray part, which can be translated in terms of some typical terminologies like shadows, midtones, and highlights. Highlights are for white because they are exposed, and shadows is for black. Shadows equal black, simple, and midtones are for gray. So if I decrease or increase, like use my slider here and there, you can see the difference, right? And yeah, one more thing, just remember this sequence, like CMY is colors for printers, if you can see. And if you have attended the workshop, I told about the CMY and RGB analog, like are complementary to each other. Like if you increase red, you're actually decreasing the cyan, right? If you are increasing cyan, are increasing, like decreasing red. Because if you see I'm increasing cyan, the blues, like it's close to blue. So this is the cyan is increasing, but the reds are diminishing as it as I increase it, right? So this was all about midtones and shadows. If I increase it, the darker parts are becoming going red, red and red and red, something like Halloween and all. This is not really helpful because color balance isn't widely used as others. Hue saturation or even vibrance is used much more than that. And now I want to have black and white. And so you can actually predict like what is black and white. Simple, black and white. Here you can see presets. Let's see let's see like what does this preset do. Blue filter, if you have it, blue filter. These are just name, and just notice the difference. A blue filter here, blues are dominant. In darker blues, it's going towards darker part. Yeah, right? You can see the difference. And yellow filter. And these are all the presets. And if you want to do it manually, you can actually go for auto, even if you want to have something the Photoshop to do for you. Disable it for now. Or if you want to have unsaturated, something like that, decrease the opacity. And how I'm decreasing the opacity is here, is using the slider. Go to that, select the slide, select that layer actually, go to opacity and have this. If for instance you want to create an old effect or something, right? Disable it because that's not really of any use, because I actually write hue, saturation, vibrance, and expose. These looks good now. Let's switch it off all for now. And what's remaining? Photo filter. As simple, photo filter. You can see a set of presets, as you can see here. Warming filter, warm. Cooling filter, cool. Cooling filter, cool, and all those. If you want to have anything as such, you can have sepia, right? Simple. Disable it for now. And channel mixer, similar to the this color balancing, you can actually see the presets for now, right? And if you want to default, you can actually see the difference. If I decrease red, as I was saying, if red, RGB, and CMY are analogous, like, or supplementary to each other. Sorry, complementary. Supplementary is not thing in Photoshop. Complementary to each other. If I decrease red, cyan is increasing. You can see the difference. And if I increase red, cyan is decreasing and red is becoming predominant here. Dominant here. And green, similar thing. Green, RGB. So what's opposite of G is RG and CM. So M is for maroon, G for green. So maroon and green are complementary to each other. And for blue, it's yellow, right? This is not of use. Even if you're just using for auto, then it might be useful for presets actually, if you want to have something like these sort of effects. And another adjustment layer is color lookup. So what is color lookup is, if you can see, these are preloaded in Photoshop, which is given to you by the Photoshop itself. If you click on this 3D LUT file, these are actually the format which our lookups use. So you can see, if you click on load 3D LUT, you can see the bunch of different things. These are the name of cameras, the old cameras, Fuji. Click on it. These are the effects which that photo, like those cameras, DSLRs use. And crisp winter, crisp warm, similar to that filter, photo filter, right? Just this is all about tension and all. If you want to have some particular use of that filter in a particular region, then you can actually use of using the layer mask. You can have it Control I to invert, and I want to have the effect in the background only. So increase the size of brush, color it. Okay, some precision here. Decrease the size. And color it up. Color, 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 color. Something like these effects which you want to have, if you want to have actually. Not really of use. These are advanced techniques, right? You can see the difference if I disable it. Simple. If you want to decrease the opacity, decrease it. If you like to have your, sometimes you may see like subject is coming out of in sort of blur. Instead of blur, you're having a difference of color, like color depth. You can say, yeah, you can say that. And now disable it because we don't actually use it for now. And now color lookup is done. Now invert, posterize, threshold, and gradient map. We will actually use it for certain instances. As you can see, invert is completely. It will invert every color as it is using RGB and CMY concept. X-ray effect or something. Decrease the opacity if you want to see the difference, right? And we decrease the opacity completely. Along with opacity, you have also fill, which we will discuss in the later stages because that's a completely different thing. Sorry, this we will discuss earlier, later on. Now, posterize as a name, by name you can judge or like presume what it will do. Actually, is just go to posterize. Simple. For graphic or something similar to those things, you can actually increase the level. We see if I decrease the level is just similar to color tones, the number of color tone levels which an image is going to use, right? At the level 2, only 2 colors will be predominant. At level 8, you can see the best to have a graphic sort of uh, like effect, the best way is around 4 or maybe 3, right? The 4 is better, or even 5 might do. Yeah, 5 is perfect, you can see. And this is too much, so what will I do is actually go to opacity, decrease a bit, and you can see the difference. Zoom in using Control Plus, and you can see what it did actually. Yeah, simple. And by levels, I meant actually the level of colors which an image is going to use. Here you can see this is too gradual, like sudden. You can see instead of a gradual decline, you can see the difference between color levels instantaneously. Hmm? Apart from that, the remaining ones are posterize, threshold, and all. It's not going to be that much. As we were using like posterize, if you want to have a black and white sort of a graphic art or something, you can actually use this. Hmm? Not really useful. Instead, you can use black and white and then use posterize because that will have more details. Disable it. And the last one, which is really important, and gradient map, map and selective color. Sometimes you may see that certain images have tone of colors. Gradient map, go to gradient map, click on it. Actually, click on it. And if you click on it, you will see a bunch of presets, right? For basics, you will see from white to black. This is from white to transparent. This is from black to white. These are all filling. Actually, this is filling the layer, no? That's why. So I can actually, if I want to have this image a bit of, because the sky is above and the reddish part is at the bottom. So what will I do is actually click on this, the lower slider, click on this, and have a bluish sort of color. This is a color picker. You can see if I hold my left click, have it here, hit OK, and now click on this and have red. So you can see the colors which have actually like reddish is having the feel of like inverting. You can see the difference. The bluish things are having a tone of red, and the reddish things are going to have a tone of blue. So hit OK. This is not really useful, but if you increase like decrease actually opacity, you can see a bit of usefulness. It's usefulness, right? And you can, by fill, it means the amount of fill, right? Decrease it. So if you want to have this sort of effect, you can see the difference. Simple. And the last one, easy but really important, because that's works like a quick fix sort of thing. Let me check something. Sorry. Yeah. So for selective color, if you use selective color, as I was saying, RGB and CMY, right? If you click on colors, you go on this color channel, you'll see red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, magenta, white, neutral, blacks, right? White, neutral, blacks. If you remember, some you can sense a bit of analogous, like these are analogous to this. This is analogous to mid-tone. This is for shadows, and these are for highlights, right? For red, RGB and CMY. What is supplementary? Supplementary is not complement, right? Okay, so complementary to red is actually cyan, RGB and CMY. So what will I do? I decrease cyan. So what will it will do is actually increase red, decrease cyan, and now going to yellow, RGB and CMY. So what is opposite to Y is actually blue. So here we don't have blue, but actually we have yellow. So what will I do is actually just increase yellow a bit. Now green. What is opposite to green is RGB, CMY. So magenta or maroon, which I actually said is actually magenta. Decrease magenta, the green will increase. If you just focus on the grass, you'll see the difference, right? For cyan, RGB cyan, you have a cyan slider, increase it. For blues, you don't have, but RGB, CMY, so Y is opposite to that. And for magenta is here, so increase magenta. You can see the difference. If I disable it and enable it, you can see subtle effect, right? But if you feel that red is too much, because face tone is also being used in that, so what will I do is actually control I again, not control I actually. This time let's use black, the brush, any brush, have black as a foreground. And how will I do is actually, instead we can X by toggling the foreground background colors, or instead we can actually change this, click on the foreground color, this thing, tap, little tap on it, grab the slider, go to black, and have our brush here decrease opacity. The reason being because we'll need that difference between the color, hair color and the skin color can't be too much now, the difference. So color it a bit, add, not have very high end effect, just a minute difference, color, and here you can see the difference. Right? And so the most important thing in these all sliders, you can actually have hue saturation, because that helped us to change the color of pants by not moving the subject from there, and vibrance, exposure, and all. Let's group all of them. Hold control the useful things, control. While controlling, select all the layers, but tap on it, select, and control G, and just name it useful stuff. Useful. Okay, useful. If you disable it, you can see the difference before, after, before, and after. Simple. Yes, this is all about for now, because this will be too much for now. If I start the selection bit, because that will be take another half an hour or something, so that will be too much. Or also 11 बज गए. So बस आज के लिए इतना ही.